Okay, so you guys have probably heard the rumors swirling around about Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and some supposed Saudi dossier. Honestly, I didn't really buy into it at first. Seemed like another round of royal gossip, you know? But then Princess Anne confirmed it. That's when things got real. Let me break down what this Saudi dossier actually is because it's way more than just some tabloid story. We're talking about alleged British intelligence reports, MI6 level stuff, claiming Meghan Markle's entry into the royal family wasn't some fairy tale love story. They think it was a calculated move, a strategic insertion. Basically, someone placed her there on purpose. Now, the palace has always had this never complain, never explain policy, right? It's their way of dealing with drama, keep a stiff upper lip and all that. But on January 16, 2026, Princess Anne apparently had enough. She confirmed the existence of this dossier at a closed-door briefing at Clarence House. Can you imagine the atmosphere in that room? Apparently, King Charles was wounded but not surprised. Prince William just walked out, and Prince Harry, well, he was reportedly completely devastated. The internet exploded, obviously. Number Saudi dossier and number Princess Anne were trending everywhere in the UK. But here's the thing. This isn't just about a messy breakup or family drama. This is about British intelligence allegedly warning the palace that Meghan's whole story didn't add up. Before she even met Prince Harry, they were raising red flags. So how do we get here? How did Prince Harry, this decorated war veteran who grew up in the spotlight, miss all the signs, or did he see them and just choose not to believe them? That's the million-dollar question, right? Let's rewind a bit. MI6 started compiling this dossier in late 2016. It wasn't just some casual background check. This was serious security vetting, the kind you do when someone's getting close to senior royal. Usually, these investigations turn up some minor stuff, a few unpaid bills, an ex-boyfriend, maybe a questionable photo from college. But Meghan's file? Apparently, it was a whole different ballgame. According to palace officials who've seen the dossier, MI6 found some seriously troubling discrepancies between Meghan's public story and her private life. Publicly, she was this struggling actress, auditioning for roles, living modestly, working her way up in Hollywood. You know, the whole rags to riches narrative. But here's what MI6 allegedly discovered. Between 2009 and 2012, Meghan was spotted on at least 4 Mediterranean super yachts, hitting up places like Antibes, Monaco, Capri, and the Turkish Riviera. She was attending events hosted by Middle Eastern financiers, Russian art brokers, and people connected to Gulf intelligence circles. Her travel and accommodation costs during those years? Intelligence estimates put it at over £1.4 million, and there was no way she could have afforded that lifestyle on her reported income. Think about it. In 2011, she stayed at the Monte Carlo Bay Hotel and Resort during the F1 weekend. That's one of the most expensive times to be in Monaco. She was in a penthouse suite that cost over £6,500 per night. Her reported annual income that year? Under £40,000. Do the math. How can you afford even one night in that suite, let alone multiple trips across multiple years? MI6's financial tracing unit had a term for this situation: shadow patrons. These are people who fund someone's access, appearances, and experiences without leaving a paper trail. People who want someone in a specific place, at a specific time, for a specific reason. And according to the dossier, Meghan had these shadow patrons for years. So who was paying for all of this? That's exactly what Princess Anne asked Prince Harry in early 2017 when she confronted him with the dossier. His response? I don't care. I love her. But love doesn't pay for super yacht trips, does it? Love doesn't explain private rooftop functions in Istanbul. Love doesn't explain how a cable TV actress ends up seated next to crown princes and sovereign wealth fund managers at exclusive events. So the dossier doesn't accuse Meghan of being a spy or a criminal, but it does use this term strategic social placement. Apparently, that's what British counterintelligence calls it when someone's being groomed and put into high-power social environments for a strategic advantage. It's like they're not agents themselves, but they're being used. Think about it. Meghan wasn't just like hustling her way up the social ladder on her own. According to the dossier, she was being placed, groomed, sponsored, and positioned by people with serious money and influence. She wasn't just some random guest on those yachts. She was put there intentionally. The dossier even connects her access to figures tied to Gulf sovereign wealth funds, entertainment diplomacy networks, and Saudi royal circles. What does this strategic social placement even look like? It's not some dramatic Hollywood movie scene. It's way more subtle. It starts with introductions, right? A friend of a friend, a dinner invitation, a weekend getaway. Slowly, this person is moved up and up through these circles, always as a guest, always charming, always memorable. Then come the gifts. They're not huge, nothing that would raise suspicion, but valuable enough to create dependency. A piece of jewelry, a first-class upgrade, accommodations that would normally be totally out of reach. Next comes the access. Exclusive events, private yachts, rooms where big decisions are being made and power is being brokered. And finally, placement. The individual is positioned near someone valuable, someone with influence, titles, or access to things that money alone can't buy. In Meghan's case, that someone was Prince Harry, obviously. The report even includes this chilling assessment from a behavioral analyst. This individual is not self-advancing. She is being advanced. That's insane. It means every step, every connection, every opportunity wasn't earned. It was orchestrated. And the person doing the orchestrating, a guy named Marcus Anderson. You've probably never heard of him, right? He operates in the shadow. Officially, he's the global membership director of Soho House, that exclusive members-only club. But intelligence circles know him as the gatekeeper, the guy who pairs personalities with power. The Dossier has a full psychological profile on Anderson. Canadian-born, former assistant to a fashion mogul, close ties to UAE-based sovereign wealth consultants and luxury diplomacy fixers. A 2014 report even described him as a facilitator of cross-cultural romantic partnerships for strategic visibility. Like, this guy isn't just planning parties, he's engineering outcomes. And apparently, it was Marcus Anderson who orchestrated the 2016 meeting between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. It wasn't a blind date, it was an engineered encounter. I know, it sounds like something out of a movie, right? But here's where the timeline gets really sus. Meghan attended the grand opening of Soho House Istanbul in May 2015, a year before she even met Harry. This wasn't just a party. Security advisors called it a crossroad for Gulf soft power brokers and Western cultural assets. It was at a restored mansion overlooking the Bosphorus. It wasn't advertised, it wasn't open to the public. You couldn't just buy your way in, you had to be invited, or more precisely, selected. Among the attendees were a former advisor to the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, reps from the Qatar Museums Authority, a French energy liaison linked to philanthropic initiative, and at least one guest under active MI6 surveillance. Meghan's name wasn't on the official guest list, but internal security logs show Anderson added her manually. Why? What was a cable TV actress doing at this diplomatic soft power event dominated by Gulf royalty and intelligence-linked influence? That weekend, she was at private rooftop functions and intelligence flag dinners where entertainers were outnumbered by Gulf investors 5-1. One MI6 analyst noted, this wasn't a social event, it was a vetting process. The analyst's conclusion? Istanbul was the final step. She had passed through the gate, like someone was holding it open for her. And less than a year later, she meets Prince Harry. Coincidence? I don't think so. So, in January 2017, Princess Anne, being the no-nonsense type she is, demanded a meeting with Harry at Gatcombe Park. Short, brutal, apparently super emotional. She basically put the dossier on the table, flipped it open to a page showing Meghan at some reception hosted by a Saudi-linked real estate group and was like, Harry, this isn't just a scandal, this is strategy. Harry, bless his heart, reportedly said, I don't care, I love her, and I'm not letting you ruin this. And Anne, Ice Queen, responded, she's not walking into your life by accident, she was shown the path. Like, damn, talk about a burn. He supposedly ripped the executive summary out of the file and declared, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. This is according to witnesses, by the way. Can you even imagine being in that room? Anne didn't even raise her voice, apparently. She just closed the folder, stood up, and said, then you'll learn the hard way. And boy, did they all. The meeting was like 20 minutes. When Anne left, Harry apparently just swept the torn pages into the fireplace and watched them burn. The palace didn't do anything after that. King Charles, probably trying to keep the peace, didn't get involved. William voiced concerns, but he was overruled. And Anne? She kept her copy of the file, the same one she slid across the table at Clarence House 9 years later. Here's the thing that's haunting, though. Anne didn't just keep the file as, like, insurance. She kept it as evidence because she knew this day would come. She knew Harry would eventually have to face the music, and when that moment arrived, she wanted to make sure there was no wiggle room, no spin, no way to say it was all just rumors. The dossier was real, the warnings were real, the danger was real, and Harry just ignored it all. Let's talk about the money trail, because that's where it gets really undeniable. Between 2008 and 2015, Meghan's declared income was less than £40,000 a year. She had small roles, did some endorsements, and eventually landed Suits, which paid her around £35,000 per episode in the early season. That's a good living, but it's not super yacht money. It's not Monte Carlo penthouse money. It's not private jet and diplomatic gala money. But during those same years, Meghan was living a lifestyle that cost between 1.2 and 1.8 million pounds, according to intelligence analysts. So where did that money come from? MI6 tried to trace it through the usual channel: bank accounts, credit cards, loans, family support. They found nothing. No inheritance, no secret trust fund, no rich benefactor that she publicly acknowledged. What they did find was a pattern. Meghan would disappear from LA for weeks at a time, always during peak luxury season. Summer in the Mediterranean, winter in the Gulf, spring in the French Riviera. She stayed in hotels she couldn't afford, went to events she shouldn't have had access to, and was photographed with people whose net worth exceeded small countries. Then she'd go back to LA, go back to auditions, and go back to being a struggling actress. One former MI6 financial analyst put it bluntly: no Hollywood resume can explain Monaco in peak season, staying in £7,000 suites at the Hotel de Paris 4 years in a row. Someone was investing in her. The question was, why? And the dossier suggests that she was being groomed to get close to power. Not necessarily British royalty at first, but someone who could give her access, influence, or legitimacy that money can't buy. She was a social asset, cultivated over years to be placed in a high-value environment. And when Marcus Anderson connected her to Prince Harry, that placement became operational.